Hello, my name is Lindsay, and I'm here to talk to you about why I believe the scientific process and my creative process are one and the same. Growing up, my three biggest passions were science, art, and sharing with others how much I love science and art. My high school senior project was a 10-page research paper accompanied by the edible model pictured on the bottom left and a stop-motion animated educational film. When I started college, I was studying biomedical engineering, and the first thing they taught us was how engineers made elevator rides faster. You would think making the motor faster would do it, but the cheaper, easier solution was adding mirrors inside the elevator to distract people from the ride. From there, we focused on the scientific method, where I realized I could make an observation, that would lead to a question, formulating a hypothesis, from which I could design an experiment, analyze my results, and present a conclusion. I loved observing the built environment. I learned how to make a pinhole camera out of a can and how to take pictures with it. I also observed that despite my talent for science, I felt compelled to change my major to art. This opened me up to ask questions like, can I make a monoprint directly from my face? Yes, I can. Where do the built environment and nature meet, and how do they interact with one another? Getting into urban exploration led me to hypothesize that abandoned buildings are one of the best places to witness where the built environment and nature meet. I find places like this abandoned glass factory in Cleveland, Ohio to be viscerally compelling. I love the textures, the lighting, and the piles of attractive detritus. Like the fragment of mirror and piece of glass featured in this pendant, which is my first experiment in silversmithing jewelry. I made this as my final project for Intro to Small Metals at UNM. I took the class on a whim, as I had never seen a small-scale sculpture class offered before or worked with precious metal. After careful analysis of the support and positive feedback from friends and classmates, I felt I was on the right track. I could also start to trace visual themes like light reflection, a focus on abandoned or otherwise neglected spaces, and the less vibrant but no less rich color palette of the outdoors in the desert Southwest. Moving to Albuquerque and enjoying a bike ride also meant that I was exposed to the concrete colossus that is an arroyo. These drainage ditches gave me such a sense of awe that discovering that they are also a repository for refuse and standing water that reflects like glass was the cherry on top of an already irresistible cake. That said, I do know to avoid them during monsoon season. They can be deadly, they are dangerous. Careful when it rains. I also discovered the Glass Graveyard, the site of a massive glass bottle dump near the South Valley in Albuquerque. Once I learned about lost wax investment casting, I realized that turning wax into bronze sculptures you could wear was my creative calling. Though those pieces were small, they had a huge and lasting impact. Combining delicate floral forms, either rendered in steel or cast in bronze and silver with found objects, I found my artistic, aesthetic voice. When a traumatic experience left me with PTSD before I was able to seek a diagnosis, I was able to craft these arcane objects and assemble an installation to invoke healing. Through installation art, I've also been able to take up space in a way I've never been able to before. I've always enjoyed telling stories with inanimate objects. Now I make inanimate objects that tell my story when my words fail. I've started making work for others too. Spiky goat head weeds and dead bugs become fuel for my creative fire. I invented a style of ring that gives the illusion of floating over the wearer's knuckles like a fascinator hat. I have a knack for making the simple appear complex and the spiky feel approachable. Over the past year and a half, I have discovered that I am multiply neurodivergent. I've been coping quietly with ADHD and likely being somewhere on the spectrum for over 3 decades, unbeknownst to me. My latest installation served as a kind of mind map, a way to experience some catharsis as I reassembled my understanding of myself. This is the work that feeds my soul. I would like for it to feed the rest of me someday, so I participated in a program with Artist Inc. here in Albuquerque. I hope you found my analysis illuminating and that it makes sense that I call myself equal parts artist, scientist, and alchemist. Thank you so much.